how to make furniture without tools. I collect old woodworking books, and when I saw this clickbait title from 1975 on eBay, I just had to have it. Not just for my book collection, but I had to know how these projects were made without any tools. Is this a joke? I'm gonna reveal that right away without wasting your time, and today's video is brought to us by Squarespace. The first step in the construction of any piece in this book is to tear out the appropriate order form from the back and take it to the nearest lumber dealer. The order form specifies the exact cutting of a sheet of plywood to produce a virtual kit of parts, which incidentally is far easier to carry home than an 8x4 sheet of plywood. When I read that, I was a little disappointed. Anyways, we are going to head to our local plywood dealer to get a sheet of Baltic birch to make a pair of chairs that is on this cover. This is the first project in this book, and you can get 2 chairs out of 1 sheet of plywood. Here we go. My plywood dealer will break down a sheet of plywood for me if I ask. They're always so busy, so I'm afraid to ask them to make 15 cuts necessary for these chairs. These plywood dealers are usually working with contractors, somebody spending a lot of money. Some random dude just walking in to buy 1 sheet of plywood and make 15 cuts? I'm not even sure they would do that. I'm gonna make all the cuts today. That's the fun for me. So the book has an order form that you can take to your plywood dealer. And we got a 20-inch cut, a 16.5-inch rip, and then a 6-inch rip. I'm gonna cut this first one slightly too big because in most cases, the factory edge of the plywood is a little gnarly from being nicked up and just not a nice clean cut. So I'm gonna cut this one a little too big, and then we'll come back and we'll clean up that edge. So normally I cut plywood outside because it is really hard to move around in my shop. It's really hard to cut on a table saw by yourself, but I like to struggle. So today I'm gonna struggle a little bit trying to cut this huge piece at the table saw. Here's the reason I don't cut plywood in my shop. My sanding tools are in the way. So I gotta take these off the bench so I have enough space behind my table saw. It turns out the author of this book, Clement Meadmore, had a very interesting life and went on to become famous for something other than writing plywood furniture books. And in a crazy coincidence, links back to me here in my hometown. It's an amazing story. We'll get to that later. Right now, I just want to finish cleaning up this massive sheet of plywood. The rest of this is all crosscuts. I can't believe taking this cut list to a plywood dealer to do this. They would be like, no, we're not doing that. But to do all these crosscuts, I made this sliding crosscut sled here at my table saw, and this thing is absolutely amazing. It greatly increases my cross-cutting capabilities. I got a video on making this. You should check that out. All right, so now, time to do a bunch of crosscuts. Daniel? Key in the montage music. For a stronger armrest connection, which can be more safely sat on, try to persuade the lumber dealer to make the armrest cut at 45 degrees as indicated on the order form, because white glue works best on an end grain. This results in a very strong mitered joint. White glue works best on end grain? That goes against everything that I know because the end grain will soak it up. So it does show on the order form cutting a 45 right here between the armrest and the side pieces, which we didn't do, but I can go back and do that now. So we're gonna go back over to the table saw and put 45s on all of these pieces. The last time I cut 45s like this at the table saw, one of those tiny offcuts got caught between the blade and the table and shot back like a rocket right at my window. That window got replaced and Daniel suggested I protect it so it doesn't happen again. It's the little pieces that can do the most damage. Protect your neck. So now the book is asking me to draw these two lines on the inside of the side pieces. So that is my next step. All right, so now we have our two lines on there. The thing that blows my mind about the instructions in this book, it says this is only put together with glue. He doesn't use any clamps, he just uses things as weights. And we've got end grain, even though it's not technically end grain with plywood because you have alternating pieces, but you have end grain to face grain, and that is it. No dowel reinforcements, nothing else. And you're gonna sit on this. I have a hard time believing that that is gonna, glues are incredible these days, but and this book is written in 1975. Glues are probably better now than they were 40 some years ago. It says to use tight bond. They also have the unique capacity of holding an end grain, such as the edge of a piece of plywood. Since almost all the joins in this book are edge to face, this is extremely important. We're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. So, this might be a little frustrating, but I need to get this piece into this position right here. And then I need to get this piece in position right here. So I am going to lay down my glue. Wish me luck. All right. Oh, see, and it's slippery. Okay. Will you just hold for a second? I'm trying not to use any of my special clamps and tools for this. I got the armrest piece as support, just like they show in the book. And that is gonna go just like that. And then I can take one of the other sides and lay it on top just to hold everything in place. All right, so we didn't get a lot of footage because I needed help. Daniel has a no on-camera clause in his contract, so we had to stop the camera so he could help me. It was stupid stressful, and because when you get that glue line on there, then it wants to slip around. Maybe we'll use salt for the next one so it doesn't slide so much. And then trying to get all the pieces on the line, and then this is only half the glue up. We're gonna do the other half after this dries. So this other side piece is just temporarily on there. And when you get these pieces up here, it would move around. I'm gonna try to set up a time-lapse camera on the next glue up to see if we can show some of the stressful. It was just stressful. It was, you need a buddy. This would be really, really hard doing it by yourself. following the instructions in the book. If I had dowels as reinforcement on there, that would be a lot easier because they would hold it exactly where it needs to go. But it says it doesn't need reinforcements. So, all right, let's do the next one. All right, so I'm gonna add my glue. You go to school on the first one, Jimmy says. And then we're gonna use some salt to try to keep it from slipping around. But the trick is you gotta get it in place before the salt dissolves. This is going so much better than the first one. We should have been, I wish I would, oh my, Daniel. This one just went together, fine. That first one was such a crazy struggle. And then this one, when we're rolling the camera, just freaking works. All right, this can be done with one person. I lied. I'm right on the line. Looking good. Yep, you go to school on the first one. We're gonna let that dry. The first two armrests should be dry on both chairs, so I'm gonna set these aside right now. We have to draw the lines on this piece and glue on the second armrest. In the book, it doesn't say anything about drawing lines on the other side. It just says to glue up the other side. I don't think I'd be able to line this up by eye, so I am going to mirror everything and then draw those lines. This should be easier than the first one. I'm gonna go up here like this. This is gonna be tricky without getting glue everywhere, or not tricky at all. All right, I'm having some good luck. All right, throw a brick on here, and then I'm gonna check my squareness. So I'm just gonna use one of the armrests to check my squareness here, and then back here as well. And that is pretty good. I just gotta slide it just a touch. Ugh. Now we just let that dry. I don't trust that joint. I do not trust just that glue joint. After the side pieces had time to set up, I glued on the armrest. It shows a great clamping technique in the book if you didn't cut 45s, but doesn't say how to do it if you did. So I'm using my luxurious tape dispenser and green tape. We're gonna talk about the amazing light the author of this book had and put these chairs to the test here in a bit. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce to you today's sponsor, Squarespace. Introducing Design Intelligence from Squarespace, combining 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your creative potential. The AI is not here to replace your creativity. That's very important to me, but to amplify it, helping you turn your ideas into reality. This is huge. It's never been easier to start a website. Of course, you still need to come up with a good idea, but with Squarespace's design intelligence, sharing that idea with the world has never been more simple. What a time to be alive. Not too long ago, you'd have to pay someone to create a website for you, and the technical skills for building a website are very different from those needed to design one. That meant hiring a team or finding someone who could do both. Trust me, I know. I used to be a professional web developer. But about 10 years ago, I had had enough with the hassle and switched all my websites to Squarespace. Now they've combined everything into one platform. All you need is your idea and Squarespace takes care of the rest. It's so easy. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's finish up these chairs. I'm not Jake Paul. I'm not gonna do things just for views. I will not sit in these chairs without reinforcement. I just don't trust it. You can argue with me down in the comments saying that glue is going to be strong enough, but I'm 49 years old. I am not breaking my tailbone today. So I cut up a bunch of little pegs on the bandsaw. I'm going to drill some holes and then reinforce it with dowels. I'm sorry, but my health is more important than your entertainment. The trend in woodworking videos lately has been all about tool reviews, comparisons, and sensationalized content. I'll admit, I have fallen into that trap too. It pleases the algorithm gods and gets the views. But lately, I've made a commitment to myself to focus more on creativity, pushing my imagination, and making actual projects with an aesthetic that makes me feel good about what I do. If you're into woodworking as an art form and furniture that inspires, then gently tap on the subscribe button. I love filmmaking and storytelling as much as I love making physical things. I've got some pretty amazing projects planned for 2025. Let's talk about wearing gloves at the table saw. Generally, it's best to avoid wearing gloves when using power tools. They can get caught in a spinning blade and pull your hand into danger. However, in this instance, I chose to wear gloves to protect myself from splinters, which could cause a reflexive reaction and increase the risk of moving towards the blade. The gloves I used were tight-fitting with no loose material. And you'll notice that as the plywood sheet got smaller and my hands moved closer to the blade, I removed them. Safety is your responsibility. Protect your neck. Now let's talk about the author, Clement Meadmore. I didn't know anything about him when I started this project, but I wanted to learn more about the person behind this book. This is crazy interesting. He was born in Australia in 1929 and began his career as a furniture designer, making these amazing pieces that were well ahead of their time. Seriously, how did I not know about this dude? Eventually, he transitioned into sculpture and became renowned for his massive abstract works with elegant curves that just seemed to defy gravity. Clem faced a lot of rejection early on in Australia, where abstract art wasn't widely accepted. In the 1960s, he moved to New York City to try to find success. Even there, breaking into the art scene wasn't easy, but over time, he found his style, creating massive sculptures that are somehow simple but amazingly unique. Clement passed away in 2005, but his work lives on as his striking minimalist sculptures are installed all around the world. There's even a documentary about him that's been shown at a few film festivals, but hasn't found a distributor yet. I reached out to the director and was fortunate enough to get access to the screener as research for this video. It's an incredible film, and I hope it gets a wide release soon because Clem's story deserves to be told. I can relate to his journey of not fitting in and discovering his true passion later in life. It's funny how this video started off as a fun project inspired by an old book that I stumbled across on eBay, and now I find myself touched and inspired by Clement's incredible story. So the comfort level is not too bad. It feels exactly like you're sitting in an Adirondack chair. It sits very low to the ground, but the angles seem good. It's comfortable. I am going to add cushions, a bottom cushion and a back cushion. I found somebody on Amazon where you can pick the fabric and then you tell them the exact size and they make them custom. And it seems very affordable. I only ordered one, and if I like it, I'll order the other 3 cushions. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this came out. I did not add finish yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to paint it, stain it, or clear coat it. I am open to suggestions, but I want to do something creative, something that's very Picciuto-like. And so maybe we do something creative where it's paint and veneer, whatever. If you have any suggestions, let me know. And if I come up with something creative, I will make a video about that. And in that video, I'll let you know if the cushions are worth it. I'd like to thank my Patreon members for all their support, and Jim from Wiser Beast for being a top supporter. Patreon members get private Discord access, monthly coupons, behind the scenes videos, and early and ad-free videos. I just happen to be sitting in front of one of Clement Meadmore's sculptures. This is so cool. We have one of these downtown. This is called Switchback. Complete coincidence that I got this book, made these chairs, and this Australian artist has a sculpture in downtown Toledo, right where I live. This is so cool. This is my tribute to Clement with my 2 chairs next to his sculpture. How freaking cool is that? Also, it's super cold and windy. Thank you everybody for your support. Happy New Year. Let's kill it in 2025. Woo!